In this hands-on project, we're going to bring everything from lessons 1 through 5 together into one real end-to-end application, a serverless reinforcement learning training job running on Modal that learns to solve carpol-v1 using PyTorch. Instead of practicing each modal feature in isolation, we'll build something that actually needs all the primitives: remote execution, scaling, custom environments, resource control, and persistent storage. The core idea is simple. We'll train a DQN agent, measure how well it performs, and keep improving it until it consistently achieves a high average return. But the way we run this training job is what makes it powerful. We'll execute training remotely on Modal. We'll scale evaluation runs in parallel so we can test policies faster. We'll package all dependencies like PyTorch and Gymnasium into a reproducible modal image, and we'll optionally request better hardware, reserved CPU and memory, or even a GPU to make training more predictable and faster. Finally, we'll make the whole workflow production-like by persisting training logs and the best model checkpoint into a modal volume using commit to make writes durable and reload to guarantee we're reading the latest state. By the end, you won't just have a working cartpole agent. You'll understand how to structure real serverless AI training pipelines on Modal, the same patterns you'll later reuse for larger agentic systems and LLM workloads. In this first block, we're just making sure the environment is ready to talk to Modal. We install the Modal Python package, which gives us both the Python API and the Modal CLI that we'll use throughout the notebook. The which modal and modal -- version commands are a quick sanity check. They confirm that the CLI is available in this runtime and tell us exactly which version is installed, which is important for reproducibility and debugging if something behaves differently across environments. Once this step succeeds, we know our collab or local notebook is correctly set up and ready to run serverless code on Modal in the next steps. In this step, we would normally authenticate our environment with Modal using an API token so that our notebook is allowed to create apps, spin up containers, and run jobs in the cloud. However, we already covered this process in detail in the previous lessons, and authentication only needs to be done once per machine or runtime. So here, we'll simply skip the walkthrough and assume you've already authenticated successfully. If you're running this notebook in a fresh environment and see authentication errors later, you can always go back to lesson 1 and repeat the token setup before continuing. In step 2, we define the plan for the entire hands-on project and explain what we're actually going to execute on Modal. Instead of spreading logic across many notebook cells, we'll export everything into a single production-style Python script called hands_on_1_cartpole_modal.py. This script will contain all the key Modal primitives from lessons 1 to 5 in one place. First, it defines a custom image that installs the RL dependencies, so our training environment is reproducible and runs the same way every time. Next, it defines a modal volume to persist important artifacts, specifically the best model checkpoint at checkpoints/best.pt and training logs at logs/train_metrics.jsonl, so our results survive across runs and we can resume or inspect progress later. Then we implement 3 modal functions: train_DQN, which performs the actual DQN training loop and periodically evaluates the agent; evaluate_checkpoint, which loads a saved checkpoint from the volume and runs evaluation episodes; and parallel_eval, which fans out many evaluations in parallel using Modal's scaling features, so we can measure performance faster and more reliably. Finally, we run the whole workflow with a single command like modal run hands_on_1_cartpole_modal.py-train- episode 600, turning the notebook into a repeatable serverless training job. The key idea is that cartpole is simple enough to learn quickly, but realistic enough to demonstrate how to structure a serverless RL training pipeline that looks and feels like the same patterns you'll later use for bigger agentic AI systems. In this block, we export the entire hands-on project into a single runnable script called hands underscore on underscore one underscore cart poll underscore modal.py. The big idea is that Modal works best when your project looks like a normal Python program, an app file with functions, resources, and an entry point, so we can run it from anywhere with one command. At the very top, we include a doc string that reminds students this file intentionally combines everything from lessons 1 to 5, defining an app and remote functions, scaling evaluations, building a custom image, reserving resources, and persisting artifacts with volumes. First, we create the modal app with app equals modal.app open parenthesis quote hands dash on dash one dash cart poll dash DQ end quote close parenthesis. This is the project container in Modal. Every function in this file belongs to this app, and it's what you'll see in the Modal dashboard. Next, we define a custom image. This is lesson 3 in action. We start from Debian underscore slim with Python 3.11, then install the exact packages we need inside the container, Torch, Gymnasium, and NumPy. We even add a build time sanity check using run underscore commands that prints the installed versions, which is a great debugging trick. If the image builds successfully, we know our environment is correct before runtime even starts. After the image, we define a modal volume. This is lesson 5. We create or load a named volume called hands dash on dash one dash cartpole dash volume and mount it into containers at slash vol. Then we organize a clean folder structure inside the volume. Slash vol slash checkpoints for model files and slash vol slash logs for training metrics. We define 2 key persistent paths. Best underscore CKPT underscore path for the best saved model checkpoint, and metrics underscore path for training logs stored as JSON lines. This is what makes our RL training job real. Checkpoints and logs survive across runs, even if containers disappear. Next, we add small helper utilities. UTC underscore now gives us consistent timestamps, and set underscore seed makes the training reproducible by seeding Python's random generator and NumPy if available. This matters because RL can be noisy and reproducibility helps you debug and compare runs fairly. Then we implement the DQN pieces in plain PyTorch. Transition is a simple data structure holding one experience tuple, state, action, reward, next state, and done flag. Replay buffer stores many transitions and samples random batches, which is essential for stable DQN training. Build underscore QNet defines our neural network, 2 hidden layers with ReLU and an output layer that predicts Q values for each action. The underscore tensor is just a convenience to move data into PyTorch tensors cleanly. Finally, evaluate underscore policy is a pure evaluation routine. It loads a Q-network state dict, runs greedy actions for a number of episodes, and reports average slash min slash max returns. Notice this evaluation is CPU-based and isolated, so it's deterministic and safe to run in parallel later. Now we bring in lesson 4 concepts with resource reservations. We define train underscore CPU equals 4 and train underscore MEM underscore MIB equals 2048, and we apply them to the training function. The core training job is train underscore DQN, decorated with at app.function. This single decorator line is doing a lot. It tells Modal to run inside our custom image, reserve predictable compute resources, and mount the persistent volume at slash vol. Inside the function, we create the environment, build the Q network and target network, set up Atom Optimizer, and start the training loop. We use epsilon greedy exploration with exponential decay, store transitions in replay, and once we have enough experience, we start learning from random mini batches. Every so often, we sync the target network for stability. The most important production behavior happens during evaluation and persistence. Every eval underscore every episodes, we evaluate the current policy using evaluate underscore policy. We log metrics by appending a JSON line into /vol/logs/train underscore metrics.jsonal, and if the evaluation improves the best score, we save a checkpoint to /vol/checkpoints/best.pt. Then we call volume.commit. This is lesson 5 applied correctly. Writes become durable and visible outside this container only after commit. If the agent reaches the target average return, we stop early, close the environment, and return a portable dictionary describing what happened, including paths to checkpoint and metrics. After training, we define read-only utilities that demonstrate commit/reload behavior. Evaluate underscore checkpoint loads the best checkpoint from the volume and evaluates it, and it accepts a reload flag. If reload equals true, we call volume.reload first, which is the way to avoid stale reads in warm containers. Read underscore metrics underscore tail does the same for logs, returning the last n metric rows. These two functions make the persistent story concrete. You can train in one run and evaluate later in another run, because the model and metrics live in the volume. Next comes Lesson 2, Scaling and Input Concurrency. We implement parallel underscore eval, which uses .map to fan out multiple evaluation jobs across containers. It loads the checkpoint once, generates many seeds, and evaluates in parallel using underscore eval underscore job.map. This is classic modal serverless parallelism. Lots of independent tasks run at once. Then we define eval underscore concurrent, decorated with @modal.concurrent open parenthesis, max underscore inputs equals 32 comma target, underscore inputs equals 24 close parenthesis. This is a different scaling strategy. Instead of many containers, we allow fewer containers to handle many evaluation requests concurrently, which can be more efficient for I/O-ish workloads or lightweight tasks. Finally, parallel underscore eval underscore concurrent submits many concurrent remote calls, demonstrating the other style of scaling. At the bottom, we define the local entry point hands underscore on underscore one underscore main, which is what runs when you type modal run hands underscore on underscore one underscore cartpull underscore modal.py. This entry point orchestrates the full workflow. Train the agent, show metrics, tail with and without reload, evaluate the best checkpoint, and optionally run parallel evaluation, either with .map or with @modal.concurrent. It's designed like a real experiment pipeline. One command launches training, logging, persistence, evaluation, and scalability tests. Then you finish by checking the modal dashboard and your volume storage to confirm everything is saved and reproducible. In this step, we finally put everything together and run the entire project on Modal. This is the moment where all concepts from lessons 1 through 5 come alive in a single command. When you run Modal, run hands underscore on underscore 1 underscore cartpole underscore modal.py. Modal builds the image if needed, provisions the requested CPU and memory resources, mounts the persistent volume, and then executes the hands underscore on underscore 1 underscore main entry point exactly as if it were a local Python program, except it's happening remotely and serverlessly. The first recommended run uses --train episode 600. This is a safe, practical starting point. It's long enough for the DQN agent to reliably solve cartpole, but short enough that you can quickly verify everything works. During this run, Modal will train the policy, periodically evaluate it, write metrics into the volume, save the best checkpoint, and commit those results so they persist beyond the lifetime of the container. If this is your first run, expect it to be a bit slower because the image is built and dependencies are cached. Subsequent runs are much faster. The second command adds more explicit flags. --eval every 50 --eval episodes 20 --do --parallel -eval. Here, you're turning on parallel evaluation, which demonstrates lesson 2 in practice. After training completes, Modal fans out multiple evaluation jobs across containers using .map, all reading the same checkpoint from the shared volume. This shows how easy it is to scale evaluation workloads independently from training, something that's extremely common in real reinforcement learning and ML experimentation pipelines. Conceptually, this step is important because it changes how you think about running training. You're not managing machines, processes, or file systems anymore. You're launching a reproducible experiment. Code, environment, resources, scaling behavior, and persistent storage are all defined declaratively in one script. If something goes wrong, you inspect logs in the modal dashboard or shell into a container. If you want to rerun with different hyperparameters, you just rerun the command. This is exactly the workflow you want for production-grade RL, simulation, and large-scale AI experiments. In this step, we verify that our training job didn't just run, but that it left behind durable artifacts using a modal volume. Remember from lesson 5, containers are ephemeral, but volumes are not. Once training finishes, the container can disappear entirely and your checkpoints and logs will still be there, today, tomorrow, or next week. The volume we created for this project is named hands-on-1-cartpole-volume. Inside it, you should see two important directories. The first is checkpoint slash, which contains best.pt, the serialized PyTorch state dictionary for the best performing DQN policy found during training. This file is what allows you to reload, evaluate, or deploy the trained agent later without retraining from scratch. The second is logs slash, which contains train_metrics.jsonl, a JSON lines file recording training progress over time, episode numbers, returns, evaluation scores, and timestamps. Using the CLI commands shown here, you can inspect the volume directly. Modal volume list shows all volumes in your account, while modal volume ls hands-on-1-cartpole-volume lets you browse the contents of this specific volume. This is incredibly useful for debugging and verification. You can confirm that checkpoints were written, logs were appended, and that commit calls actually made the data durable. This step reinforces a critical mental model for serverless ML. Training is just one phase. The real value is in the artifacts it produces. By storing checkpoints and logs in a shared persistent volume, you decouple training from evaluation, analysis, and deployment. That's what turns a one-off experiment into a reusable, production-ready workflow. In this final step, we drop inside a live modal container to see exactly what the training job sees at runtime. This is one of the most powerful debugging tools in Modal, especially when you're working with volumes, checkpoints, or complex training logic. Instead of guessing what happened, you can inspect the container's file system directly. When you run modal shell hands_on_cartpole_modal.py::train_dqn, Modal launches a shell inside the same image and environment used by the train_dqn function. From there, you can explore the mounted volume just like a normal Linux file system. Running ls-la/vol shows the persisted directories and files, confirming that the volume is correctly mounted and that your checkpoints and logs exist where you expect them. Next, using tail-n5/vol/logs/train_metrics.jsonl lets you inspect the most recent training metrics written by the job. This is especially useful if training stopped early, plateaued, or behaved unexpectedly. You can immediately see recent episode returns, evaluation scores, and timestamps without rerunning anything. This workflow mirrors how professionals debug production ML systems, attach to the runtime, inspect state, verify artifacts, and reason from real data instead of assumptions. Even though this step is optional, it's a skill worth practicing, because when something does go wrong in a long-running serverless job, this is often the fastest way to understand why.